the guy got.
Lee, what are your thoughts on pre-season game number 3 here against Hull FC this afternoon?
Yeah, we got everything out of it what we wanted. There were obviously a lot of individuals from different sort of levels there playing for us. So it was more to make sure everyone got out of it what they needed personally. The first team guys that just needed more minutes got that, and some younger guys, to try to make an impression against their young guys. So yeah, all in all, boxes ticked from that point of view. Plenty to work on, obviously collectively, but it's what we expected really from this type of game.
What's the main positives to take from today?
I think some of the experienced guys had some individual things to work on, whether it's getting minutes in because they've missed parts of pre-season or just actually things to work on as well. And from first viewing they all sort of got that. Just take for example Kev Appo. He definitely is one of those types of guys that gets fit by playing, is Kev. We weren't particularly looking at the opposition we were playing against, just what he was actually doing, and he was right at the back end of an hour spell. He was still tying in as third man, doing some of the small things defensive that people maybe don't see. So that was good from his point of view. And then other guys got long minutes in that they haven't been able to do so far. And then, like I say, you end up with a lot of young lads playing for us against their young lads. And for me and him, and it was the first viewing of some of them. Others have done full pre-season with us, but we've only seen right at the end of both friends, whereas today they got a bit longer. So yeah, all in all very good. We can obviously do a video of it, but there were a lot of the first team not playing, so in terms of first team collective things to work on, we probably won't take massive amounts from that, but individually there were plenty.
Is that the main positive and focus, Lee, that so many of those young homegrown academy players have had that sort of good balance run out with, like you say, Dan Smith, a Brad England, a Billy Jowett, a Kevin Appo, and obviously have performed really well against Super League opposition?
Yeah, I mean, quite Super League opposition in name have been Hull, but in terms of individuals that were playing against it were obviously their young lads who are full time still, either guys that train with the first team or their academy being full time. So when it became pretty much our young lads towards the end, they were a little bit of a difference. So that's something that they'll be able to look at video wise with Ryan, Glenn and Scoey. But from first team wise, obviously we'll look at what our guys did and how we were at the start. A theme throughout the game, probably for both teams, were the penalties given away in yardage. That's going to take a bit of getting used to, is the penalty side of it. Players we've all got used to the 6 again being given. So when it now is a penalty for the same offence, you're defending your try line again. It makes a difference. So we've got to be a lot more disciplined on not giving those penalties away, because they hurt you a lot more now than what the 6 again did. We still want to get our numbers to 0 in terms of markers being square, play the balls. There were still, I think, 3 play the ball errors and a couple of marker ones. They're not new rules. People are calling them new rules, but that's always been the rule. Markers have to be square, and you have to play the ball with your foot. So those we're disappointed with, but there seemed to be a lot of penalties given away with obviously the other team coming away from their try line. So it's something to look at, whether it's an academy player, reserve, or first team player. Collectively, we want to be better than that, whatever Bradford team is going out there. So it's given us plenty to work on, but then, like I say, every box ticked in terms of individuals coming through and what they needed.
How much of a concern is it, Lee, the ill discipline at this stage? Because I think it was 11 penalties conceded, 3 set restarts, and 3 times in possession you turn the ball over with that incorrect play of the ball. Yeah.
I mean, we won't take a lot out of it in terms of treating that as a full first team, because it's not. There were guys that were playing in there, obviously, that will figure points as part of our first team. But if you look at it, it might have been a quarter or a third that were made up of first team. So we won't collectively take the numbers through to the first team session. We'll be going off the Halifax and Featherstone game and then into the Leeds game in terms of that. But just as a club, we want to be better than that. We want those numbers to be down. So it was a good lesson. I mean, we've got guys there that were playing the first friendly of pre-season, and they haven't played under the clamp downs on some of the things and some of the rules. So they'll get better at it. Disappointed if it's a first team player that made a certain error, because we've gone through a couple of games now before this, so that's something we can look at individually. but collectively we're probably not going to discuss it too much this week in training.
Second half, it was by and large a reserve academy side out there. Obviously, Hull did run away with it in the second half on the scoreboard, but there was a positive. Jamie Gill, his try ultimately sealed win for Bradford. There's a lot of high promise about Jamie Gill.
Yeah, there is about a few people. Whenever they get sort of county recognition or international recognition, and maybe they're even a couple of years younger, they seem to stand out a bit more to other people. But to us, we've got high hopes of everyone that took the field today, and they all, did well with things to work on, and that'll be good. Jamie's no different. I catch him because he scored maybe, and because he's such a big lad, but then plenty to work on as well for him. So the individual video that those guys get out of today's game will be good for them to go through and review that at this stage, and then they can prepare for their sort of seasons. Then we do have a few of these guys training with us all the time, so it's good for them to look at that, see what they need to do to improve to get up to a level. I mean, that was not championship standard game, clearly. It's a lot of young lads, so and even in that there was things that they need to get better at, so it just gives you a guide of where people are at. Potentially it was always going to be like that. We were always probably going to be a bit stronger with the team we had out to begin with, and then when we start making changes, that's, like I say, a full-time whole squad, even though they're young. So it turned out where they were probably stronger than us, but we knew that before the game. The result wasn't essential, but it was nice to see him miss at the end.
How pleased are you and Eamon with what you saw in that first half? Certainly, I think there was 20 minutes and 28 points scored. Obviously, you mentioned Kevin Apple, but there was strong performances from Dan Smith, Brad England, Dan Akora, Billy Jarrett.
Yeah, George Flanagan, don't miss him out.
Yeah, sorry George.
Yeah, no, they did well. I mean, it was a stop-start affair, so while they got the minutes in, it wasn't continuous from being set for set, which is probably what we were after, which meant Dan could do a full 40 minutes, George did a full 50, 55, whatever it was. But yeah, we got players like Elliot Paposh, who was obviously on trial but has impressed us. He got a good spell. Kev Apple, like you said, Brad England. Billy Jarrett's done probably more minutes than what we'd ever liked, but obviously with the options at fullback that we've got, we didn't have Aidan McGowan available this week, so Billy started there and then played a decent amount as well. No, they've all been good. They've been good anyway during pre-season, and like I say, we definitely got out of it what we wanted. And we talk about friendlies not being result oriented. It was still nice for them lads to get a win also.
On the injury front, Lee, obviously Jordan Borwinson's still doing his rehabilitation to come back. Eamon mentioned during the week Glenn Blackmore's got a back injury that ruled probably him out this afternoon. What's the latest on that? Is it anything serious, or is it just
No, I don't think so. I think Ben had some back issues last year. He's had them for a few years, to be fair, so he'll probably continue to have them. So it's more about managing. I mean, he could have continued against Featherstone and then maybe been out for a few weeks. So it's just about managing him. If we were desperate for him to play today, would have done, but it were unlikely we'd have wanted Ben playing in that anyway. We've got enough friendlies to go at, plus cup games before the league even kicks off. So there's a bit of player management involved at the moment in terms of what we're doing. If we look back at the end of the season, there'll be a hell of a lot of games that you could have been involved in, and we know the league campaign's about peaking at the right time. So we've got to be smart in what we're doing. Ben comes into that category now where his body needs managing a little bit. So anyone like that, we will do that, and yeah, he'll be good to go next game.
And just finally from me, Lee, how's the transition back from acting head coach back to being the assistant again? How are you enjoying it?
All good. I just enjoy coaching, whoever it might be. I was enjoying myself as assistant last year. Took up the reins. It wasn't something new to me anyway, so I was fine doing that. It just gets me out of interviews with you, to be fair. So I'm back here. I've been chucked back in for another one with you. But no, all good. I'm really enjoying it. The lads are sound. It's a very similar squad to what we finished with at the end of the season, which did well. And myself, Eamon and Brian are working well together. So no, at the minute, all good.
It looks like there's a good coaching nucleus there, Lee. Yourself, Glenn Morrison, as you've already said, helping new coach Eamon and Brian Noble as well.
Yeah, Glenn and Jonathan Schofield, they have to take the young kids. They're not particularly there during the week, but obviously on game day they're seeing what we're wanting to impress on our players, and obviously there were a lot of young lads involved that that Glenn and Scully are going to be coaching in the reserve team and keep an eye on. So they're getting involved on game days, but no, they've got their own job during the week, concentrating on young lads, reserves and academies. So first team wise, it's myself, and Brian and Chris off that take that, and everything's working well together. And I can't see that not continuing. So yeah, but all good. We've got another friendly and some cup games to go at next, and then into the proper stuff.
Obviously, a very youthful side today, Lee. What were your message before the game to some of the players, particularly the lads who were making their debuts?
Just enjoy it. I mean, for some of those guys, that was the first time they've been involved in a first team friendly, first time they're putting a first team Bradford shirt on, and then you're still playing against Hull in name, even though it's young kids, you're still playing against a Super League outfit. So mainly enjoy it, but get out of it whatever you needed to, because obviously you've got one end of the spectrum, George Flanagan, who's 45, to some 17, 18-year-old kids playing the first game. So make sure everyone got out of it what they did, and I can assure you they did.
There's a challenge for them now to keep impressing training sessions and when they get the opportunity to play as well. Yeah,
that's it. We'll probably have some young lads involved against Leeds again, so we'll make judgments on that from what we've seen, who deserves that, who's up to that sort of level, who continues training with us, who might have a chance of maybe even writing one of the cups. We'll review on what we've seen in training, what we've seen in games to them. They've played at a few different levels now, where you look at some of those young kids have now played against Halifax, short minutes. They've then come on against Featherstone, and they've played longer minutes today against a youthful Hull-looking side. So we'll have to have a look at where it fits, and a lot probably depends on cup draws as well, of what teams we decide to go with. Like I said, there's going to be a bit of team management going on. There's got to be. I think all the clubs are with the same. With the way it's all formatted this year, we don't play the league for another 4 or 5 games or something. So we'll do that. We'll judge what's right for us, and if it means some of the young kids getting a chance, then so be it.
Mossen Peposhi, I can't always pronounce his name right, but I know they're on trial. Have you decided what's the crack with them next?
No, we're probably one for a behind the scenes chat, with them and myself and the players, and see what's right. They've both been really impressive, with fantastic attitudes, professionalism, which is what you'd expect from people that have been in the Saints setup for a number of years. Both good. Shame about Dan obviously having to come off injured today. I thought he was doing a decent job out there and has shown alright in the short minutes he's had in the friendlies. And Elliott's were really impressive. I thought he did excellently well against Halifax, and then had an illness just after Christmas, lost some weight, so he was struggling a bit just after half time to bring him off. But before that, I thought he were pretty good. So no, from my personal point of view, I'd want to keep those two around if it's doable. Really useful players for us to have in the squad, and both still got potential. They're only young, so if it were purely up to me, I'd give them plenty of cash, and I'd keep them and get them signed. But we'll see.
You mentioned the cup games a couple of times. The 1895 cup games coming up first. I know that Craig Lingard made a big thing of it about it last year, and that ultimately ended up albeit disappointingly at Wembley. How much emphasis did Bradford put on that competition this year?
Well, we're putting a big emphasis on it. With how it's formatted now, it's not just a case of staying in the Challenge Cup as long as you can and then you just get thrown in it. You're in it from the off. It's like the old Northern Rail used to be. And we've got 2 localish sort of derbies to go at who are going to want to come for us. We're the favourites to go through in our group, clearly. We were pretty disappointed at Keighley last year going away to them, I can assure you. And Dewsbury will want to make a fist of it against Bradford home. It's a big game for them. So no, we'll be going into that properly. But you've got one 1895 cup round, then you go into a Challenge Cup. It's a bit staggered. So a lot will depend on who we draw in them games, I think. We want to progress in all the cups as far as we possibly can. Don't think that we think we wanted to get knocked out of them or anything like that from what I said. We want to go as far as we can. We're a club we feel like we're a club that want to be in that final. We want to take a good number of spectators down to Wembley. That's what we want to do. We were jealous of the other 2 teams that got there last year. So 100% we'll be going for that, don't worry.